Hello, everyone, and welcome to our final presentation for the VCW project that we did with DCG Lab Academy. The challenge our team was facing was the identification of a suitable industry. DCG Lab Academy, a company focusing on education technology, could expand in order to make 500,000 euros in revenue by the end of 2024. And through the application of the 5 phases of the value creation wheel and supported by an in-depth research, we have found a solution to this challenge, and that is the pension funds industry. We have also developed a comprehensive monthly marketing and financial strategy with the investment of approximately 40,000 euros needed for this expansion to be a success. So let's start with the actual presentation. Firstly, let's meet our international team that was using the VCW in order to solve this challenge and to find a suitable industry to reach the 500,000 in revenue by the end of 2024 for the DCG Lab Academy. The team applied the 5 phases of the VCW framework, starting with phase 1, which includes the diagnostic, challenge, and the expected KPIs for the project. Moving into the second phase, increase. That is the generation of ideas and criteria to solve the challenge. And following with the phase 3, assess, we have selected the ideas and ranked the filters in cooperation with our key decision maker. Then we followed up with phase 4, narrow, the application of the value creation funnel and the identification of the solution for our challenge. And lastly, we concluded with phase 5, act, which includes the implementation of our solution and the plan for the execution. So let's start with the phase 1, define, which includes 3 subphases: diagnostic, challenge, and the expected KPIs. DCG Lab Academy is a part of a marketing consultancy agency focusing on innovative and creative solutions. The mission of the company is to empower your business and private life and to change your perspective in order to enable your full potential. With such personalized approach, the goal of DCG Lab Academy is to help organizations, teams, and individuals to unlock their full potential. The main product, the neuroscience marketing courses, are then operating in the education technology industry, which includes the use of technology in the design, development, and also delivery of educational materials and also solutions. The industry itself has been growing rapidly in recent years, driven by the increasing adoption of digital learning tools and the need for remote and flexible learning solutions. In fact, the expected growth for the years 2022 and 2030 is over 16%. And also the COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated the adoption of education technology solutions as schools, universities, but also businesses have been forced to shift to remote learning. And some of the main trends within the industry are the personalized, interactive, and flexible learning experience. The education technology solutions offer learners the flexibility and also convenience of accessing education materials and courses from anywhere at any time. EdTech solutions can be tailored to individual learners and providing them personalized learning experience that caters all their specific needs and interests, and this could possibly then lead to better learning outcomes and higher student engagement. So to further analyze the industry itself, we have conducted the external environment and analysis, the PESTEL, factors affecting the business environment DCG Lab Academy is active in, include, for example, the changes in the characteristic of careers and the possible job hopping, but also different lifestyle trends, that is, increase of blended and informal learning. Possible challenges may include the sufficient internet infrastructure or the access to electronic and technological devices. But what's very important to mention also is the compliance and with the standardization and the potential data protection. That should be taken into account as well as one of the important factors. Following with the Porter's 5 forces, our VCW team expects the competitive rivalry to grow since the growth potential of the industry is high, with only 4% of the education market being digitalized. The threat of substitutes is considered as moderate to high due to the high diversity of demand. Then moving on to the bargaining power of consumers, that is considered high since the high diversity and product variety all both lead to low dependence of the customers. Our team also considers the threat of new entrants as moderate high because of the investment flows into the education technology industry. As for the bargaining power of suppliers, it is considered low. That is driven by the high diversity of suppliers active in the industry itself. The SWOT analysis then emphasized that DCG Lab Academy offers courses in a niche market and is supported by a team of highly experienced instructors that are all behind the courses themselves. Weaknesses include the low recognition by potential customers and the lack of success stories, which could be then the selling point of the product. However, as the demand in the industry is growing, the company could develop new technologies to enhance the online learning experience and to build up on their mission statement, which is finding your full potential in order to gain higher brand image awareness. And with the growing demand in mind, the market is also very competitive and the competition often offers a higher variety of courses. And to follow up on the SWOT analysis, the team also conducted a TAOS analysis. The Maxi strategy emphasizes the focus on the user, but also the partnership with other companies and organizations. Maxi Mini strategy then includes the differentiation in the market by highlighting the product and the brand individual features. For the Mini Maxi strategy, the key is the awareness and building a large network by digital marketing presence. And finally, the Mini strategy suggests rapid creation of brand awareness and making a so-called big purchase option, which could be then available to large companies, and they would make the product more accessible to other consumers. So the company is facing the challenge of finding a suitable industry for it to expand in order to make 500,000 in revenue by the end of 2024. And with the cooperation with the key decision maker, our team was given 3 M's, 12 months, 6 team members, and 100,000 euros. So in order to find a smart solution to this challenge, we have defined KPIs related to the company, to the project, and also to our team. The 10 company-related KPIs, we have then divided them into long-term, medium-term, and short-term goals. The long-term include, for instance, reaching at least 500,000 in annual revenue, or reaching at least 80% revenue share as contracted annual recurring revenue. Then the medium-term goals, that is reaching at least 250,000 in annual revenue and reaching at least 50% revenue share as contracted annual recurring revenue. And our short-term goals are, for instance, the identification of at least 3 pricing models, which would be available for our product, or the creation of 2 individual customer journeys, both for the B2B market and also B2C customer experience. For the project-related KPIs, we have set the identification of at least 80 filters in order to find the most suitable solution with our cooperation with the key decision maker. We have then the usage of at least 10 filters and also identification of an industry contributing to at least 60% company's overall profit. And for our team-related KPIs, we want to fully apply and understand the value creation wheel framework, have also frequent meetings to update one another, and also be satisfied with each other's performance during the whole project.
Thank you so much, Veronica. Now let's move to phase 2 and 3. In these phases, I'm going to be presenting the findings of our team's research into potential industries for DCG Lab to enter. We've conducted an analysis of various industries, looking at a range of criteria to determine which sectors offer the best potential for growth and success. Start with phase 2, increase. In this phase, we focus on collecting information and filtering through various industries to find the best fit for DCG Lab. Our research led us to a list of 25 industries with 99 industry categories and more than 300 sectors. We then analyzed these industries using 83 industry-related filters, which our team collected. Brain-based knowledge industry related, finance and public funding related, industry and rivalry competition related, government and legal aspects related. We then used the poker method to purify these concepts. This involved killing 15 filters, reviewing 20 filters and also multiplying 20 filters and keeping 28 filters. Each team member applied this method individually and then we compared our results. Any filter with an overlap of over 75% were assigned to that category. Now moving on to phase 3, assess. We selected the top 25 industries provided by the United Nations for our initial value creation funnel. These industries are agriculture, automotive, banking, chemicals, construction, consumer goods, defense, education, energy, entertainment, financial services, food and beverages, healthcare, hospitality, IT, insurance, manufacturing, mass media, mining, pharmaceuticals, real estate, retail, telecommunications, transportation, and utilities. We then conducted one more value creation funnel to identify the specific industry category DCG Lab should enter. We identified 10 must-have filters, 32 nice-to-have filters, and 51 filters that we decided to kill. The must-have filters were then ranked in order of importance by the key decision maker. The top 2 must-have filters with 9 points are market domination and partnership with academic bodies and educational agencies. The top 3 and 4 with 8 points are budget for edutech and economic and financial stability. Now moving on to the nice-to-have filters. The top 5 filters with 8 weights are compatibility with company's existing business model with 40% of weight, remote blended work and also support by the government with 20% of weight, and finally use of external education services and data literacy with 10% weight. In conclusion, we, together with the key decision maker, believe that DCG Lab should focus on entering industries that have a high potential for growth and profitability, with a particular emphasis on education and technology. By leveraging our strengths in these areas and partnering with other key players in the industry, we believe that we can create a successful and sustainable business that will provide value to our customers and stakeholders. Thank you for listening. I will now give my word to my colleague, Teresa.
All right, thank you, Maria. Let's move on now to phase 4, where we will narrow our selected ideas, go through the ranked filters and through the weighted optional filters until we will find our final solutions, which is a suitable industry for DCG Lab Academy to expand to. The final solution then will be conceptualized and prototyped, which will also happen in phase 4. All right, let's start with our first out of 2 value creation funnels. The goal of this was to find the best suitable industry for DCG Lab to expand to. And to do so, we started off with our 25 selected industries from phase 3 and applied all our must-have filters according to the rank that was defined by our key decision maker earlier on. And we can see here that we started with the 25 industries. After applying the first 2 filters, which were the market domination and the partnership with academic bodies and educational agencies, where our KDM put the most importance to, we were left with 12 industries, and then with 8 after applying the next filters. And in our final round of filters, we ended up with 3 industries, which are the financial services, the information technology, and the insurance industries. These 3 industries were then taken into further consideration and to the next step of narrowing down our solutions for the multi-decision criteria analysis. The multi-decision criteria analysis, we took the 3 industries that we just found applying the value creation funnel, and we applied our 5 nice-to-have filters. Each filter was assigned a rank, or not a rank, sorry, a weight that was defined by our key decision maker, which will later on be defining our final solution. As a team then, we assigned numbers between 1 to 10, with 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest, to each of the industries within for each filter, and then combining it with the weights, we found a cumulative score for each industry. And if we look at it here, we see that the financial service industry was identified as our best suited industry with, according to all the filters applied, shortly followed by the information technology industry here with 9.1 as an overall score. This, however, was not our final step, because after finding our most suitable industry for the DCG Lab Academy to expand to, we wanted to go 1 step further and define the ultimate industry category for DCG Lab to expand to. So we wanted to narrow down our industries even further to find a more specific range for DCG Lab to enter. So from here, we found that there are 10 industry categories within the financial service industry, according to the UN. Having found these 10 industries, we moved on to our second value creation funnel, where we started with those 10 industry categories that are defined by the UN and applied the same filters as before with the 25 overall industries. We applied them in the same order, as the ranking has not changed for those. And in the end, we ended up with 3 industry categories that will be considered for the next steps. And they are the activities of holding companies, reinsurance, and the pension funding industry. Moving on with the same process as with the 25 overall industries, we also conducted a second multi-criteria decision analysis. Here, the same process as before, where we were assigning weights to the different filters, and each different industry category ended up with an overall score. And here we can see that we have a significant winner with a pension funding industry category within the financial service industry. having defined now the most suitable industry for DCG Lab Academy, being the pension funding within the financial service industry, we will now move on to the concept and value proposition analysis of the pension fund industry and DCG Lab's position within this industry. Let's first start by looking at the pension funding industry overall. So we created this, this market overview here. And we found that the industry has a market size of $2.5 trillion as of 2022, and has an expected annual growth of 5.2%. This then equals to an overall market potential of $6.4 trillion by the end of 2030. Overall, the industry is categorized by very high governmental support and an increased interest in digitalization and of the processes over the past years. In general, the global leaders in the pension fund industry are Japan, the US, Norway, Canada, and the Netherlands, where they each have big governmental pension funds that manage a lot of money. Regarding the training within this industry specifically, as we are in the edutech industry here, about 5% of the revenues are annually invested into training, which is equaling about $220.5 billion yearly. Additionally, what also is special about the pension fund industry is that it is extremely characterized by a high usage of external training researchers, which makes it an optimal industry for us to enter, as we will be an external training provider. Moving on, after we had a broad overview of the industry, let's now move on to the external analysis of the pension fund industry, where we applied a pestle analysis. As already mentioned, the pension fund industry relies heavily on government support and is therefore affected by its regulations and policies, and its operations, such as investment strategies or the ability to generate returns, is influenced by changes and regulations made by the politics. Moving on to the economic stage, pension funds are very impacted on the economic situation of a country, as it affects the value of its investments, as well as the inflation might impact the purchasing power and return on investments of the fund itself. Moving on to the social factors, as we are currently experiencing an aging population, this has a significant impact. As an aging population can put pressure on the pension funds, as well as the general attitudes towards retirement affect the pension fund industry significantly. In terms of technology, technological advancements such as digitalization can make pension funds more efficient and ease the process for managing pension funds for individuals. In terms of environment, we see that the environment has a significant impact on the pension fund industry, as it especially generates new investment opportunities generated by climate change initiatives. And finally, going also hand in hand with the political facts, the legal regulations are heavily impacting the pension fund industry and their operations, as they have to follow the regulations. Additionally, we used another tool to analyze the external environment, which is the Porter's Five Forces framework, which rather focuses on the competitive environment of an industry. Here, for this framework, we analyzed the edutech sector, which DCG Lab is categorized within the pension fund industry. So in that industry, or in that sector of that industry, we found that the threat of substitutes is rather moderate to low, as the edutech can be highly personalized and tailored to the pension fund industry and the customer itself, making it harder to substitute with another company easily. Secondly, the bargaining power of customers, therefore, is quite high, as pension funds can choose from a wide range of competitors and options that then gives them the power to negotiate prices and terms quite easily. Then looking at the threats of new entrants in the edutech industry of pension funds is relatively low, as it is quite costly to generate new trainings and to develop trainings, and it just takes a lot of time as well. So the initial investment for this industry is quite high. Additionally, there's a certain level of expertise that is required to enter the market, and hence there's also a barrier to entering this industry. The bargaining power of suppliers is quite low, as there are a lot of suppliers that provide digital content and technologies for training companies, and additionally, companies often produce their own content, making suppliers redundant for them, such as also DCG Lab, who also produces their own contents. Finally, this concludes that the competitive rivalry in the edutech market within the pension fund industry is rather moderate. There are some significant players in the market. However, there is still room for growth and expansion within this market. Diving a little deeper into the competitive environment of the edutech market in the pension fund industry, we positioned some of the biggest competitors that we've identified in the market on a positioning matrix, with two factors, one being the business strategy and the other being the cost point. And when we look at it, we can see that DCG Lab can differentiate themselves compared to its competitors in terms of having a lower cost price than other consulting and training companies, however, still being above NGOs and institutes, which are usually government funded and can just provide a very uncompetitively low price point. Additionally, to the low price point of DCG Lab compared to its competitors, DCG Lab also focuses on using data science and AI, which then enables them to have a very unique business strategy and rather a niche business strategy compared to its competitors. Translating this into the blue ocean strategy, where we also looked at other factors such as the use of technology, pension fund expertise, government support, and awareness, we mapped DCG Lab to its three main competitors, which were Mercer, Aon, and Willis Towers Watson, which are three consulting/training agencies and companies within the pension fund market, which have a lot of expertise within the market as well. We found out after we put them all on a graph, we found out that DCG Lab can actually drive a blue ocean strategy in three of the named factors, and they can create a strong competitive advantage regarding their lower price factor combined with their business model uniqueness and the technology usage, as can be seen in this graph on the left side and also on the right hand side. If DCG Lab now captures these factors and focuses on enabling those, DCG Lab can capture value within this competitive market. Moving on, after we've now established DCG Lab's position in the competitive environment within the edutech market in the pension fund industry, let's now move on to define the optimal segmentation targeting and positioning in the pension fund industry for DCG Lab. Starting off with the segmentation, there are 6 potential targets that could be targeted, which are the pension fund managers directly, associations within the pension fund market, asset management companies, consulting companies, insurance companies, and investment banks. Moving on to the actual targets we want to target within those potential segments, we suggest that it might be most successful if we primarily target associations and only secondarily target pension fund and pension fund managers directly. The reason for that is that associations are a very powerful player in the industry, and there are formal bodies representing the individual pension funds in the sector. Additionally, they act as a mediator between the pension funds and the training companies, as they offer a lot of trainings and networking events, and they can act as a strong connection point and networking point in order to reach public and private pension funds for DCG Lab. Looking a little bit deeper into those 2 target markets that we suggested, we have found some of the biggest players of each of these targeted markets that could be a potential customer for DCG Lab Academy in the future if this project is implemented. So looking at the associations, we have associations which provide a variety of services in the pension funds industry and to their members, including advocacy, education, research, and a lot of networking opportunities. Some of them are, for example, the National Association of Pension Funds in the UK, or the Pension and Investment Research Consultants in the UK as well, or the Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation in the US. And these are just some examples. There are many more that could be targeted. As a secondary target, we wanted to provide some pension fund corporations, which include BlackRock, Allianz, State Street, which are all big players within the market and are rather private. Additionally, there are some national pension funds, such as the pension fund of Japan being the biggest in the world, of Norway, South Korea, or the US, which all manage significant amounts and have a lot of connections and still a room for training and growth. Finally, let's also look at the positioning of DCG Lab within the industry. And here we thought about a positioning statement that could work quite well, which is, at DCG Lab, our mission is to unlock the full potential of organizations, teams, and individuals. Our approach is tailored to your unique needs, and we work closely with you to deliver actionable insights and drive success. Where we suggest that in the positioning of DCG Lab, they should really focus on its main advantages and benefits, being its customized approach and unlocking the full potential, being their unique business strategy, as we've identified earlier in the project. Talking about positioning, we've also thought about a value proposition that DCG Lab Academy can use and how they can make a better positioning and more thought through positioning within the industry. As we've already established during phase 1, where we defined the problem and diagnosed everything looking into the company, which then is also reflected into the positioning. We can define that DCG Lab is focused on using data science and AI to help humans to unleash their full potential, which then essentially will help them make better decisions and become better human beings, which are leading change. Combining this with all the required skills that are needed among pension fund managers, we can position DCG Lab among the soft skills rather than the technical skills needed, that include communication, leadership, adaptability, problem solving, and emotional intelligence, that all can be enhanced by the unique training offerings by DCG Lab, whereas their main competitors being Aon, Mercer, and Willis Tower Watson, they all rather focus on the technical side of it, whereas DCG Lab can really positioning and differentiate themselves by targeting and positioning themselves on the soft skill training side. So moving on, having now positioned and targeted and segmented DCG Lab within the industry, we can now put it all together and create an optimal marketing mix for DCG Lab to identify how DCG Lab should approach this market. As we are providing a service with DCG Lab Academy, we are looking at the 7 Ps here instead of the 4 Ps. The first P being product, where we can have a differentiated product within the edutech industry. And we have offered courses with high value added for the soft skill side, as we have just seen. The place for our marketing will be directly to the customer over a company website and online advertising, where the customer is either the pension fund manager directly or the associations, as discussed earlier. A second place to promote are distributors via wide channel, which can be resellers or e-commerce platforms, cooperation within the fintech industry and institutions and other associations. If we look at the promotion promotion, or DCG Lab can promote their services via industry events and conferences, online advertising, and refer programs, where we generally also advise to directly approach or use a rather direct sales and marketing approach for promotion here, as the awareness of DCG Lab is rather low compared to competitors. In terms of physical evidence, which we will also see later on in our prototype, we think a website with a user-friendly design is very crucial here, and an online proactive support that is available to customers at all time, as well as testimonials and case studies of satisfied customers. So we work with a referral and then enhancement program here, where ratings are very, very important. In terms of people, there will be need for technical support at all time. There will be need for marketing and sales staff that are knowledgeable about the pension fund industry, that can directly target pension funds and associations with their knowledge, and a customer care department that takes care of customer needs at all time. Regarding the process, DCG Lab should focus on constantly improving their user experience in the website, but also on the customer experience side, which then goes hand in hand with customer support. And they should continue developing additional courses that are suitable for the industry and are suitable for the industry-specific soft skills. Regarding price, we decided on proposing a subscription-based pricing model with 3 different subscription models and special prices for institutions and associations. Looking deeper into the pricing model itself, we thought about a 12-month subscription model, which has a 1-month trial period that attracts customers that might be hesitant to commit to the training program yet, and a 9-digit effect pricing, where you can see on the right side the 3 different pricing models we thought about. First being the basic model for a monthly price per employee of the company or of the pension fund of 19 euros, a standard with 58 euros, and a premium subscription with 155 euros, all having a trial period of 1 month, and then essentially differentiating in their customer support and other features that might be available in the premium or standard or basic program. Moving on to our prototype. We've now analyzed the market and defined a value generating strategy for DCG Lab and how they can enter the edutech market efficiently in the pension fund industry. We will now look into the actual prototype that we've designed to make this expansion as successful as possible. Starting with the initial prototype. So the initial website of DCG Lab, which was their main communication tool so far, was a mix of B2B and B2C altogether. There was no differentiation. The general course topics were user, brand, and customer experience, so rather marketing oriented. There was a very strong communication to neuromarketing analysis, and they partnered with large companies and startups, and the courses were mainly designed for individual use. Using the scamper techniques, meaning substituting, combining, adapting, modifying, putting to another use, eliminating, and reversing some of those initial ideas or initial things DCG Lab does on their website, we came up with a final prototype. We want to adapt the website to have a specific service for B2B customers and to B2C. So we will keep the current website that is B2C focused and add another user interface for the B2B customers, where they have their own user experience, user interface with all the needs for them. So we will create 2 separate user interfaces. Then we will combine the existing courses with employee experiencing, and therefore also focusing more on a company level and kind of moving away from this individual course level. We will modify the communication to be more focused on the results obtained through the courses and more of this user experience and customer experience, customer engagement. And then finally, we will substitute the payment courses for subscription model that is more adaptable and more scalable for companies, startups, and individuals. Conceptualizing this whole prototype, we've created this kind of a map how the communication will work and for whom the website will be targeted. So as said, our primary target will be the pension fund associations, where we will, or where DCG Lab will provide training and materials, and it will be their primary target for communication and marketing. In return, the pension fund associations will provide DCG Lab with information and connection exchange and providance of networking events and networking opportunities to finally reach the pension fund managers in the end. Because between the pension fund associations and the pension funds and managers, there is a strong existing relationship that we can lever on. And then the secondary target will be the pension fund, which is also the secondary target for market and communications. However, our B2B website will be designed for the pension fund and pension fund managers directly, so it's an easy to use interface for them directly, as those are our final customers. Further on, we want to create long-term contracts with pension fund companies that show annually with growth reports. Then we want to improve customer loyalty and customer satisfaction with a clear vision for pension fund employees, where, as I already said, we'll focus on the results of their trainings. We want to have a clear website vision, which we will also see later, where we have a specific or two different user interfaces between the company and the independent user. And then finally, we want to embed real case experiences within the website and having this also as a marketing tool for future customers. Now, looking at a visual prototype of how DCG Lab's company website or the B2B user interface could look like, we designed this prototype of the website where there is a company sign up directly through a one-click sign up via the company websites. And this could work when DCG Lab Academy partners with customers, enabling such a user interface and making just the whole user experience more easy for the customer. Exactly. Now I'm giving the word to Simon, who will talk about the implementation of the whole thing in phase 5.
Thank you, Theresa. Now in phase 5 Act, we will look in detail at the 3 M's and the business model of DCG Lab Academy. Also, we will see how successful we reach our KPIs. And in the last step, we will take a look at the implementation and the control of the project. Starting with the business model, DCG Labs Academy's main value proposition aims to provide pension funds with advanced data science and artificial intelligence tools to improve their investment decision-making process. And for that, the main focus lays on improving the soft skills of the fund managers. The main customer segment here can be divided into primary and secondary customers. The primary customers are mainly pension funds and also pension fund associations. Also here we can differ between public and private sector, and DCG Lab Academy tries to tackle both of these sectors. Additionally, the secondary customers can be other edutech companies in the pension fund sector. The channels to reach these customers are mainly their own website, the online portal, direct sales, also partnerships with industry associations and other relevant organizations. And in this business model, the customer relationship plays a major role. And for that, DCG Lab Academy tries to differ itself from the competition through an outstanding customer service, and especially through regularly updating the content and providing frequently new videos. And now, looking at key activities, key resources, and key partners to reach this value proposition, we can say that besides the industry associations already mentioned through the channels, another very important key partner can be data providers to get market insights or to improve the business itself, especially the content. And besides these key partners, we also need key resources. Here mainly expertise in artificial intelligence and in the pension fund industry can be seen as one of the key resources. And additionally, training material and coaches, and especially also the software to provide the training, are are further key resources. And lastly, this leads to the creation of new products and services, the continuous improvement of current products, as well as the marketing, sales, and customer service as the key activities. And to sum all of this up on a financial level, DCG Lab Academy aims to have two different revenue streams. First, one-time sales of the training programs. These are expected to, in the beginning, especially have the major impact of the sales. We expect to have 90% of our sales revenue starting in July 23 from one-time sales. However, we want to transform this as fast as possible into the second possible revenue stream, the yearly subscription program. And here we try to aim to have 80% of our sales through the yearly subscription model and only 20% of the sales through one-time sales, just as a subscription model is more plannable. We have a stronger connection to the customer and where we see a lot of benefits. And we aim to reach this goal by the end of 2024. However, we expect to reach this goal already in the change from 23 to 24. And now, lastly, looking at the cost structure. On the cost side, the main cost drivers are especially personnel costs for the content creation, for sales, and for marketing. And now looking at the marketing costs, we plan to have 3 main channels. We want to spend 1 to 2% of our marketing costs into email marketing, 50 to 55% of our marketing expenses into social media marketing, and lastly, 45 to 50% of the marketing expenses into participation on fairs. And additionally, we have a fixed cost of 5,000 euros, including already 2 employees. So we can say that the cost for general and administrative expenses is around 3,000 euros per month. And now, looking into more detail into the 3 M's, manpower, money, and minute. Starting with manpower, here we can say that expertise in sales, marketing, video creation, as well as industry-specific expertise in the pension fund industry and digital and software development knowledge to create a website and to provide the content are needed. And we made calculations if we can afford all of this expertise, and we can conclude that we could, but we don't want to afford everything internally. So we have both internal and external resources here. On the internal side, we want to hire sales and marketing people to have this internally, as this helps us to scale fast and efficient. And also for the website maintenance, we try to have 1 person doing it internally. However, on the other side, for the website development, we decided to outsource it, as we see this rather as a one-time expense for the next at least 2 years, and therefore we don't see the need, or we can't justify financially to hire a full-time employee for a task which will be finished by the end of June. Additionally, we want to outsource our pension fund expert, as we don't see a need of weekly or monthly getting insights, and rather seeing this as a quarterly update, kind of as an external consulting service to really have state-of-the-art industry knowledge and always the newest knowledge. Now, looking at the money side, which you can see here on the right side of the graph, for the website development, for the outsourcing, as just now mentioned, we plan to spend around 2,550 euros per month over 2 months. Then for the sales team, as well as for the marketing team, we expect a salary of 1,000 euros per month in the Lisbon area. However, adding the non-wage labor costs of around 23.75%, we end up of expenses from our side of 1,237 euros 50 per employee. And here you can see if we want to start with 5 salespeople in July, this would be expenses of 6,187 euros 50, for example. Now, in the next step, in a minute, looking a little bit more into our planned timetable, we don't plan to sell anything before July. We want to enter the market as soon and as fast as possible. However, we finished this consulting project with the value creation just in the beginning of May. And we see a need of at least 2 months preparation, mainly to prepare the website and the online portal, just to be ready to sell, and especially sell fast to be able to scale. For this, we planned May and June completely for the website development. However, this can also be used to already pre-produce new content. And then in July, we want to fully enter the market with already 5 full-time employees to really be able to capture a lot of market share quickly. Additionally, from July on, we want to hire 1 person for the website maintenance. However, we don't plan with a full-time employee, we rather plan with 0.375 full-time employees, so 1 part-time employee here. Also, when entering the market, we not only want to enter the market with the 3 already existing programs, we also want to add 3 new programs which are already produced and ready to sell in July. And then, as mentioned, we're planning to regularly work with a pension fund expert, usually on a quarterly basis. However, for the first launch, we plan to start both in July and August with a longer consulting period, just to have someone taking us on the hand if we need quick advices starting in the new industry. And as already mentioned, we aim to reach 3 marketing employees by the end of this project. And for this, we calculated that the first time we can afford an additional market employee will be in September. So we will also use it and immediately in September hire a new marketing employee, or aim to hire a new market employee, again to accelerate our sales process to capture a lot of market share. Now, in the next step, looking at how we reach our KPIs, this part we structured into the short-term KPIs, the medium-term KPIs, and the long-term KPIs. And in all of the parts, we again look at our company, project, and team-related KPIs as discussed in the beginning of the presentation. Starting with the short-term KPIs, we can say that from the short-term KPIs we set ourselves, we managed to achieve 6. We failed in 5. And for one of the KPIs, we don't have the data yet to access our progress. Now, starting with the company-related KPIs, these are mostly financially, and we plan to reach a specific revenue goal. We plan to reach at least 20% of our revenue share already through the subscription model. However, we were not able yet to go into the market. So all these financial KPIs related to sales, we need to say that we failed on these as we postponed the market entry to July for the already explained reasons. In contrast to this, we managed to identify 3 different pricing models, which goes hand in hand with the individual customer journeys, as we try to get the shift into a subscription model. Also, for the customer churn rate of a maximum of 10%, for the same reasons as for the financial KPIs, we can't really say that we reached it just because we didn't enter the market yet. And lastly, the course completion rate of 10%. For this, we just couldn't get the data to measure the success. But as mentioned, as we are not in the market yet, we will not expect a high course completion rate. Now, looking at project-related KPIs, here our goal was to identify at least 80 filters and apply at least 10 filters. And we can say that we succeeded in both of these steps. We identified over 80 filters. And then in the value creation funnel, we applied 10 filters to identify our must-have filters. And in the second step, we use 5 nice-to-have filters for a multi-criteria decision-making process. Also, we planned bi-weekly checkups with all relevant key decision makers. Here we need to say that we did not manage to meet with all key decision makers, and especially not bi-weekly. And our last KPI here was to have 2 interactions with all internal and external stakeholders. And also here we failed the KPI. However, we also need to say that we didn't see the need to meet with all involved KPIs. But nevertheless, this can be seen as one of our main learnings, to plan our timeline differently from the beginning, to also get points in to meet with more relevant stakeholders, especially external stakeholders in the beginning. And now lastly, to the team-related KPIs, we can confidently say that everyone in our team has the feeling to fully understand the value creation wheel, and to also be able to use it and adapt it not only for this project, but also for future upcoming projects. And we can also say that we managed to have at least 1 weekly team meeting in class. And additionally, when needed, we also had a 2nd or 3rd weekly team meeting. Now jumping to the medium and long-term KPIs. For the medium-term KPIs, we failed on one KPI, while we don't have the data to access another KPI. And for the two last KPIs, it's hard to tell yet if we will achieve it, but we at least expect a positive forecast. The positive forecast we expect for the financial KPIs, as these are medium-term KPIs, which are aiming to be until the end of 2023. Obviously, we can't measure it yet, but from the data we have now, we expect to reach this by the end of 2023. When looking at the team-related KPIs, our goal is to reach an individual grade for at least 18 as an overall cumulated grade for these group assignment. However, as we don't have the grades yet, this is hard to tell if we will reach this KPI. And the last team-related KPI we set ourselves was to reach at least a 95% satisfaction rate for each individual team member. This we want to measure in the peer assessment. But as one of our team members already left the group within the first weeks and didn't contribute furthermore into this project, we can say that we will not reach this 95% satisfaction rate. And now, lastly, looking at the long-term KPIs, here we really need to say that as these are long-term KPIs until the end of 2024, there's no data yet to really justify if we reach it or not. But in the financial models we built, and we will also show later in the presentation, we can confidently say that we truly believe that with this approach, we will reach the 500K revenue plan for 2024, and we will reach this revenue with at least 80% of our revenue coming from subscription models. And we can also say that this will contribute to more than 60% of the company's overall profit. Now, for the last step of the innovation and value creation wheel, phase 5C, implementation and control, we prepared two different financial models for the years 2023 and 2024, one revenue forecast and one cash flow forecast. Starting with the revenue forecast, we want to look at a few assumptions. We assume that we will not generate any revenue before July 2023 for the already explained reasons, and we assume to have a very high percentage of our revenue generated through one-time sales in the beginning, namely around 90%, while we want to fastly adapt to a subscription model with the goal to have already 80% of our revenue coming from subscription by the end of 2023. Also, we expect a very strong growth of a quarterly growth rate of around 10% until the end of 2024. This competitive growth goal comes from that we want to enter the market fast and with high scalability through a high amount of salespeople from the beginning on. However, we assume this growth to de-accelerate and get slower after 2024. So from 2025 on, we expect a slower growth rate. And lastly, the portfolio composition follows clearly the current forecast of the key decision maker. You can see this in the top graph for the portfolio composition in June 2023. And we expect this portfolio composition to rearrange through the 3 new products and the market entry in the pension fund industry to the portfolio composition shown below. And now, getting into more detail into the revenue forecast of 2023. The detailed forecast you can see on the right side. However, I will outline some very important points here. As already mentioned, we expect the first revenue to be here in July, while we expect 54% of our revenue to come through one-time sales for full year 2023. This comes for the already explained reasons that we will enter the market with a revenue share of 90% generated in one-time sales. And the already mentioned portfolio composition, we can see a heavy dependence on the course's neuro leadership and window on neuro merchandising with 57 and 25% contribution to the revenue. And we can see a really high revenue growth of 658% from July to December 2023. But this comes mainly from entering the market at a low sales volume in July. And now, looking into our revenue forecast for 2024, we can see that here we expect to reach our goal to have 20% of our revenue coming from one-time sales, while the rest is coming through the subscription model. And we also expect our portfolio to already be more balanced, with new leadership contributing to 40% of our total revenue and window on neuro merchandising contributing to 12% of our total revenue. And also the growth is expected to be more stabilized with a growth of 193% from January to December. which is still a strong growth, but not as strong as in 2023. And as mentioned, in 2025, we expect the growth to slow further down. And now, looking into our cash flow forecast, taking into consideration also the cost side. Here, we have a monthly fixed cost of 5,000 euros, which already includes 2 full-time employees, one in digital marketing and another one in video creation. And we assume that one sales employee can cover around 5,000 euros of monthly sales. Also, we have some financial assumptions. We expect an average customer acquisition cost of around 1,250 euros, which comes from industry standards we found online. Also, we separated our customer group into 2 main segments: SMEs, small medium-sized enterprises, and big corporations. And based on our findings, we expect the SMEs to spend around 2,500 euros per month, while big corporations are willing to spend up to 30,000 euros a month. And our customer share is expected to contain 25% SMEs and 75% of big corporations, which is aligned with the plannings and expectations of our KDM. Furthermore, we also made some research of salaries, which is mainly for the area Lisbon right now. And here we expect an average salary for our tech employees of around 2,500 euros, while for our non-tech employees, we expect a salary of 1,000 euros. And additionally to that, we also need to pay non-wage labor costs, which we average of around 23.75%. Also for our external employees, we found numbers and expect expenses of 85 euros per hour for tech employees and 30 euros per hour for non-tech employees. And lastly, the tax rate we applied was 21%. And now, looking into detail at our forecast for 2023, again, you can see the detailed forecast on the right side. And looking at this forecast, we can see that our main cost driver are labor costs, while also our fixed cost still contributes to 40% of our total cost in 2023. Our break-even point we expect to reach in July, while our annual profit still will be negative with an annual profit margin of minus 1.15%. However, our profit margin in December is already expected to be positive with 24.74%. And the investment need to do the project is our accumulated negative cash flows until we turn cash flow positive in July will be 31,950 euros. And this investment we expect to be amortized by the end of December 2023. And now, jumping into 2024, we can see that the labor cost continues to stay our main cost driver, which can be expected to be also for the following years. But we can see that the fixed cost now only contributes to 80% of our total costs, which clearly reduces our risk already. Also, we can see the margin from being already around 24% in December 2023 to constantly grow until it stabilizes in November at a margin around 35%, which is also expected to be our long-term margin. And this leads us to a full year margin 2024 of 30.37% and a total annual revenue of 528,000 with a positive cash flow of 160,000 for full year 2024. And this would make us reach our goal of reaching an annual revenue of 500,000 by 2024. Now, after this look at our financial numbers, we will come to our conclusion. For this, we want to look at the lessons we learned during the process. We want to give an overview of our project outputs again, and then we also will give a quick overview of the planned next steps. To start with the lessons learned, we can say that in phase 1, we would next time definitely spend more time understanding the core business model of DCG Lab Academy before applying the filters, as we identified this really makes the process of selecting filters and identifying weights and criteria way easier. When in phase 2, we really want to focus on finding measurable filters, as we were making research on a global level, which sometimes was a great opportunity, but sometimes also limited us in the selection of our filters. And here we also want to collaborate more with all stakeholders to identify really the most relevant filters from the beginning on. For phase 3, For the next time, we are planning to do a 2-week intensive sprint. In this sprint, we already want to pre-plan meetings with all relevant with the KDMs and all other relevant stakeholders to accelerate phase 3 and really get fast through phase 3 while still getting constant feedback from all relevant stakeholders and contact points. And the reason for this is that our learning for phase 4 is to start this phase as early as possible, to always keep the option to return to phase 3 to adjust filters, rankings, or weights if needed. And lastly, we also want to plan longer for phase 5, as we really saw how important this phase is and how important it is to get in contact with external stakeholders, which is our second learning for phase 5, to the next time also interview and contact external stakeholders, which are experts in a specific region or industry, to really get advices how to enter this target market. Now also taking a quick look at our project outputs, what were we able to deliver to our key decision maker? Besides this final presentation of the value creation approach, we also created a 1-page poster, and we created the value creation funnel and the multi-criteria decision analysis in an Excel, both for our industry selection as well as our category selection within the selected industry. And in addition to that, we also provide a detailed financial forecast for the revenue and for the cash flow in both 2023 and 2024. And now, lastly, looking at next steps. Here we want to share the steps which are really important in our opinion to reach the goal of the 500,000 annual revenue for DCG Lab Academy. And we recommend that after this final presentation, the timeline proposed in the 3 M's is followed. And for that, we recommend focusing on a specific regional market first to enter the market as efficient as possible. And to identify the best fitting regional market, our clear recommendation is to apply a new value creation wheel to this problem, as the value creation wheel can be seen as a great tool for identifying regional target markets. And in addition to that, we recommend getting in touch with external stakeholders from the pension fund industry to better understand the market, the customer needs in this industry, and potentially also identify chances for synergies or possible partnerships. This is it from our side. In the name of the whole team, thank you for your attention. And I hope you enjoyed this presentation as much as we enjoyed the process of getting to this point with the help of the value creation wheel.